Hey guys, Mike Toy Bonsai Boise. So I thought I'd give you a quick look at my spring update. So right now I'm getting ready to move them all from their winter storage back onto the racks, and I'm going to repot a lot of them, and I'm going to be going in kind of like I don't know, I guess an assembly line style. So I'm not going to slow down and video all of them. So I'll just give you a look at all of them now, and then I'll give you a look at the ones I'm going to repot and afterwards and show you how they look on the racks. So follow me. Alright, so here we are. So unfortunately, my collection is broken into two different locations at the moment, so I'm going to show you half of them now, and the other half are at my apartment on my balcony. So I'll show you the ones here. So let's start here with I haven't done anything yet with this crabapple tree, radiant crabapple. I may or I may not. I think now I'm looking. I'm probably too late to do anything with it now, but I'm thinking I might air layer this. Yeah, I don't know. I just got it because it was on sale at Costco last year and haven't figured out what I'm doing with it yet. Here's the honeysuckle. So a buddy of mine here in town gave me this as it was kind of like a cutting last year, and I just put it in this pot, surrounded it in bonsai soil, and I just let it grow pretty wild and free. Yesterday I just clipped a little bit of the shoots just to start working on some ramification, but otherwise I've been letting it grow pretty wild. But I like it. I think it's going to make a good bonsai eventually. I like this rough bark on these. Super cool. What's that? So here's a look at the wisteria. Been growing this ever since this thing was just a tiny little twig about this size. Bought it at, I think, like Walmart garden section for 10 bucks a few years ago. It was in the ground for a while and then out, and been in this pot ever since. This is one of the ones I'm going to be doing the repot on today because I'm sure that it needs it. But let's look at it here. One thing I will say too, I experimented this year and I did not bury these trees in mulch. I just bunched them up together. I think I put a bag of mulch to kind of barricade it there at the end, but otherwise I just left them pretty open and free this year. So it turned out well. Didn't lose any that I know of yet. So that was an experiment gone right. Just a few starters and cuttings and stuff in there. Nothing really to speak of. This is an Amur maple. There we go. So this one I've been growing in a bigger pot, and I've been letting it grow a little wilder and bigger just so it can thicken up the trunk faster. Got a few other small ones that I'm going to be posting videos on soon. Some of these I can't even remember what they are at the moment because I bought a bunch of new ones last year. This, I think, I can't remember. I just can't even remember what this is. Sorry. That's a silver maple. Virginia creeper. Repotted this a couple years ago. I'm sure it's still good for now. There's a little privet. This is some type of evergreen variety. Had its leaves all winter. This is a blueberry bush. Been kind of letting it grow wild past few years too. Still not exactly sure what I want to do with it, so when I'm unsure, I just sort of let it go. Dwarf Korean lilac. This is definitely due for repotting. Over here is a red maple, if I remember correctly. Just a little one. Another little privet back there. This guy here. What is this one? Well, for the life of me, I can't remember what it is, but if I remember, I'll let you know. There's another blueberry bush. A buddy of mine, Garav, was getting rid of this, so I dug it up for him, stuck it in the pot, and here it is. Juniper, sort of in training. Another juniper in training. Siberian elm forest here. These Siberian elms usually are the last ones to start leafing out. Bay willow. Not sure what this is. I think this is a blue spruce from what I was told from the person who gave it to me a couple years ago. I've done virtually nothing with it other than just let it grow. Not much to talk about there. My Shantung maple in development. Definitely getting repotted today. It was affected by a couple years ago, it was affected by both aphids and the insecticide that I used to fight the aphids. So it was sort of in recovery and has been since. So I'm going to repot it today, give it some fresh soil, and let it grow wild this year. And let's see. Green ash. Oak leaf sumac. So a lot of these have like little maple starters and stuff. I can't even remember what some of them are yet, so I'll have to wait till they leaf out. This is an oak. This is a cotonoster. I should probably repot it, but I might wait. I don't know, I haven't decided. There's another oak. This is a Zelkova, or Japanese elm. That is a river birch. Another cotonoster back there. Another cotonoster. That is a... my goodness, can't think of it. Man, I can't think of the name. I'll think of it. I'm sure as soon as I'm done here, and I'll post the name of what it is. Silver maple. It's my larger Siberian elm. Probably be repotting that today. Little boxwood and a silver maple. Bigger silver maple. This one here I'm working on grafting this little branch here. I'm hoping that that little branch takes hold. Silver maple over there, and a larger lilac here that I'm working on. So that's the quick look for now. I'm going to get to work now, set up the benches, and start repotting. Be right back. Alright, so I've gotten as much done as I can do today. It's taken me 4 hours or so just to clean up and trim everything. I repotted a couple, and you know, just all that normal springtime stuff that we do. So I'll give you a look here, and this will just be part one, I think, because I'm gonna have to come back and do the rest of these another day. So let's take a look. Alright, so starting here, give that guy a little trim. Here's that cranberry tree. Radiant cranberry. You can see I really hacked away at it a lot, and that's kind of the theme this year that you're going to see with all of these. Is I did major cutbacks on many of these trees. Some I didn't do at all, some I did a lot, some I did little, but for the most part I really kind of let loose and did some major hacking away. Which, just a little bit of backstory, last year I let them grow a lot. I mean, I did minimal trimming and pruning on some of these because I just wanted them all to really grow wild and gain a lot of life and strength. So this year's the opposite. That being said, so I trimmed this guy back. It has absolutely no structure or strategy going for it at all. All I was doing was just cutting it back in shape so it didn't take up quite so much space. I think eventually my plan is I'm going to air layer it somewhere in here and then get 2 trees out of it. And then, you know, maybe after I air layer it, I'm going to hope that it'll back bud some so that I can shorten it down, but we'll see. This guy didn't really do anything. Just, you know, just those few cuts just to get it into a manageable shape. This is the wisteria that I've had for, I don't know how many years, 5 years maybe. I did the same thing this time that I did a couple years ago, which is I just slip potted it. Took it out of that pot that it was in, wherever that thing, oh, that pot right there. And I just put it into this bigger pot. And even that, all I did was I just surrounded it with bark. So I'm kind of experimenting with it a little bit. But yeah, so I just pulled it out of the old pot, slip potted it into here, surrounded it with some bark. My long-term plan for this wisteria is to plant it at the next house that I buy. So that's why I'm just slip potting it for now. Yeah, just want it to grow and thicken up. Trimmed up my bay willow right there. Remember that Amur maple that I said I was letting grow wild so it could thicken up the trunk? Yeah, it fell victim to, you know, the major cutbacks that I was talking about there. So doing big cutbacks really is necessary to do once in a while, you know, for taper and even just for management reasons. I mean, trying to manage this many trees when you're letting them grow wild is pretty tough. I mean, space becomes very limited. So you know, it makes a significant difference when you hack a lot of these back. So that was half the reason. The other reason was just, you know, taper and movement. You know, you don't want a big long stick of a tree with branches just coming out all the way up. You want it to come up and now move this way, and then, you know, next year or the year after I'll do it again and then it'll go that way. So you do it for movement reasons. Still can't remember what this is, and I think it's dead. I cut it, and if I can get to focus here. I mean, no, it doesn't do it justice. I'm pretty sure it's dead though. Silver maple. Virginia creeper. So I hacked back this blueberry bush quite a bit. I do want to bonsai this at some point someday. Might be kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can move some of these leaves here, but it's got a pretty good size base of a trunk going there. So, you know, good size. In here we have a random assortment of starter trees and seedlings from last year, and I've got so many of these, I don't even know what they all are. So it'll be fun this year to find out. So this is a red maple. Got this from the Arbor Day Foundation. If you haven't signed up for that yet, I would encourage you to do so. It's $10 a year. You get a few trees for free. It's a nice little resource for good information. So that's where I got this guy. Don't know what that is. Not sure what those are. Probably maples. Let's go look at these. My Siberian elm forest. So I was down to just these 3 trees. Started with 9, then it came down to 3. So what I decided to do, rather than reinvent the wheel and repot it and all that stuff, I'm just taking cuttings from these trees and sticking it right back in the pot. As you can see, I got a whole bunch of them going there. So we're just going to regrow this forest organically, in theory. But these 3 trees here were originally cuttings from this tree a couple years ago. So they do root, so it can be done if done at the right time of year. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm trying to do. Speaking of Siberian elm, get this guy out of the way. Here's my main Siberian elm. Did not repot it. I may still or I may not. The buds are not popping yet, so I do still have time, but I just ran out of time today. But I like it. It's become one of my favorites. It's just fun. You know, Siberian elms are just fun. And I may actually take it back a little further now that I'm looking at it more, but we'll see. Siberian elm. Silver maple. This guy is, you know, one of those trees that I just can't decide what I'm doing with it yet. So when in doubt, I let grow and then I cut way back. And then I let grow and then I cut way back. And that's what I'm doing with this one. It does concern me though, if you look right there, see that? That's usually bad news for a maple. Now, that was a branch that I cut back. I'm hoping that that's not in the trunk as well, because that, if I remember right, that means it's rotted out from the inside. So we'll see. Don't know what to expect there. That's my river birch. Did a major trunk chop on that and stuck it right back in the pot. We'll see if it roots. What is this thing? I still can't remember the name of this thing. I'll post it because I can't remember the name of it. Honey locust, that's what it is. It literally just came to me as I was thinking of that. It's a honey locust. So I did a trunk chop on it as well. So the cotonisters really got the worst of it. Look at that. I really hacked these guys back a lot. But they're tough. I mean, these cotonisters have been, of all my trees, probably the toughest. I'll show you the other one here. Hacked this one back quite a bit. Not quite as much as the other one, but still quite a bit. Just getting some movement there. I'm going to jump ahead for just a second. Show you that's my other cotonister. This one, a couple years ago, I thought was dead. So I just stuck it out in the yard and didn't water it, didn't pay any attention to it for a couple of months. Just left it for dead, and then all of a sudden it started sprouting leaves, and I went, ooh, I guess it's alive. So then I repotted it and been taking care of it. So yeah, long story short, those guys are tougher than they look. Western sand cherry. I couldn't remember. I must be just brain dead today. I couldn't think of the name of this one earlier either, but this is a Western sand cherry. Did quite a cutback on this as well. There was a put it down here so I can point to it, but there was another major branch coming out from right there, which I've been staring at for a while now and not liking for a couple years because it was long and straight and it, just didn't fit the mold. So today I took the opportunity to get rid of that, and I trimmed it way back in a lot of other areas. It's just a little boxwood. Got that for like $5 at Home Depot one season at the end of I think it was like the end of summer or so, and haven't really done anything with it until today. Repotted it in some new soil, cut it back a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Boxwoods are kind of fun because they have this old looking bark. Even though that is soft, it's much softer than it looks. It still looks old. They back bud a lot, so they're fun. What else? Okay. Next up, Shantung maple. I did repot this. And I almost got rid of this guy and this guy. This one had some roots down here. You can kind of see them actually. This one had a couple of roots. So I almost got rid of it. Decided against it for now. Just because why not? Stuck a rock under there, give it a little character. This thing is in rough shape. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, but this is actually my favorite tree. Of all my trees everywhere, this is my favorite tree. It's in terrible condition right now. This thing has been through hell. But I have hope for it. And I think I've said before, usually with these trees, terrible condition, going through terrible conditions and barely surviving and then bouncing back, it tends to give them character down the road. I mean, here you can see a big chunk of bark broke off, and then it sort of rotted, and then a large chunk broke off, and I don't know, this is kind of like deadwood sort of. Let's see if I can turn on flash, that helps. Yeah, I don't think that helped. I think it made it worse. But anyways, it's got some development to do. So repotted it in some new fresh soil, trimmed it very little roots. Just wanted it to have new soil and give it a chance to regrow. That's my green ash tree. Didn't really do much to it. Didn't repot it or anything. Privet, gave it a big chop. Another privet, gave it a big chop. Oak leaf sumac. Did just some minor trimming on it, nothing major. Silver maple, trimmed it back to the 2 sets of buds on each one. Oak, gave it a tiny little trim. Another oak, gave it a tiny little trim. That's one of the blueberry bushes, gave it a trim. Gave everything a trim, basically. This is one that I did a graft on a couple years ago. 2 years ago. And so far the graft has been, it's survived. But it hasn't really grown from there at all. It just basically sprouted leaves and stayed like that. So I'd like to see some growth out of it and see it actually take as a branch. So we'll see. Here's a bunch more cuttings and seedlings that sprouted. Not sure what they are, but that's where they are. And that's basically it. So this is part 1 of a spring 2021 update. Thanks for watching. I'll post part 2 when I repot some more of these, and I'll fill you in on the other half of my trees over at on my balcony. So thanks for watching, though. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Bye.